This is Paul Newman, and if you are seeing this screen, I am hoping to assure you here that the live... Hello everybody, and welcome back to another video. Thank you very much for taking the time to join me today. As always, it is very much appreciated, and I hope that you are all doing well here on what is the 7th of July 2026. Thank you very much for joining me. What we've got coming up for you today is a video that's going to be on my own personal YouTube channel. And we're going to review some more classics, ladies and gentlemen. Classics come thick and fast in the second quarter of 2026. And in this video, we're going to take a look at some classics that were ran at the end of May 2026. And we're going to take a look at the performance of the horses on my own website in those races, if there were any. classicwatch26.great/site.net is where people will be able to find Classic Watch 26 this year, ahead of the rest of the classics coming this season. But before we start taking a look at the classics, I always like to mention my own personal Patreon channel in these videos, Newman Racing. The Patreon is called. I think you should all head over there and see if it's for you, especially if you are a fan of national hunt racing, because it is where the vast majority of the national hunt racing takes place now, over on the Patreon. There's also plenty of resources over on Patreon that I've uploaded over the years that you might find helpful. There's pedigree notes, things like that as well, also on there. Every now and again, I pop over on Patreon and give some selections ahead of racing. But that's not really what I'm about, and those occurrences are very rare. So if you're looking for daily advice, then maybe not. But there's plenty of stuff going on there. It's also the place where I carry out the yearly reviews of the horses at the end of the season as well. We've got one coming up soon, actually, for the Southern Hemisphere horses on the flat. That will be done at the end of July. And then we've got one at the end and around August, September time as well for the national hunt racing ahead of the start of the upcoming national hunt season. And then there's another one done around the end of the new year, taking a look at all of the other flat horses as well from the Northern Hemisphere and other areas that start on their season on January the 1st. But without further ado, so Patreon really, I think it's an interesting resource, and I think you should all go and check it out. You know, I'd hate for you to miss out, you know. You never know, it might just be for you. Right, without further ado, shall we review some classics in this video, shall we? We're going to take a look at 7 classics in this video, so I'm just moving my notes off camera so I can see what races we've got coming up, so I don't have to pause the video today. I'm trying to be a bit more professional. We're going to take a look at 7 classics today. The first race we're going to take a look at is the Belmont Stakes out in America, a race held this year at Laurel Park. Then we're going to open up the Irish Classic campaign this season by taking a look at the first 2 Irish Classics held at the Curragh this year. The Irish 2000 and the Irish 1000 guineas, both in this video. We're then going to take a look at, I've just realised I've done these notes wrong, so I will have to pause the video at some point of Mr. Race Out. We're then going to take a look at the Japanese Oaks, a race held at Tokyo. We're then going to move to Australia and take a look at the Queensland Derby, a race held at Eagle Farm. We're also going to take a look at a race I found in South Africa, a race called the Daily News 2000, a race held for 3-year-olds at Greyville. And then we're going to end the video by taking a look at the Japanese Derby, a race held at Tokyo. So plenty of action in these races. Before we start taking a look at them, I'm going to pause the video now. Apologies, everybody, and I will just jot down the Japanese Derby information that I need, and then I will be back shortly. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Thank you very much for taking the time to join me. Right, we're going to actually start cracking now. I've taken the notes that I needed to take. The first race that we're going to take a look at in this video is the Preakness Stakes, a race this year not held at Pimlico Park. The race this year is actually held at Laurel Park. Ahead of this race, Classic Watch 26 only had one horse entered in the Preakness Stakes, and that horse was the Chad Summers trained Napoleon Solo, a Group 1 winning 2-year-old last season. So without further ado, let's take a look at the Preakness, shall we? Courtesy of bloodhorse.com, and see what we think. Again, very sloppy in this video. I really should have done that before the video was done. No need for you at all to see that. We know Bloodhorse actually gone into a full screen on the first time. So let's take a look at the Preakness, shall we? Held this year at Laurel Park, and then we will see what we think.
Bruce Wagner will start the Preakness. It's 24th time. Here we go. And they're off in Preakness 151. It looked to be a great start. And out to the lead. There goes Taj Mahal. Sheldon Russell says go early on Taj Mahal. Napoleon Solo is next, and Chip Honcho away running in third position. Iron Honor is next in fourth, caught 4 wide around the turn. Robusta gets an inside run. Talkin' is right there in the thick of things in between horses as they round that turn, followed by Great White and Pretty Boy Maya. Corona d'Oro is a good dozen lengths off the early speed. The Hell We Did is racing in the 2-path on the outside of Ocelli. After that comes Crupper to the back of the pack. Incredible is second to last at this point, and Bull by the Horns is the trailer. As they move now with 6 furlongs left to go. The opening quarter whipped up 22 3/5 of a second. Taj Mahal going for it with speed. Napoleon Solo spies the leader from second, and next is Chip Honcho. The orange cap is racing in third. Talkin' is fourth. Iron Honor in good striking range fifth, while 3 deep down the backstretch one, and then it is Great White who's in between horses. Then on the inside, next in line, pushed along for a little more, comes Robusta. In the meantime, Corona d'Oro's out 3 wide in the clear. The Hell We Did tries to rally, ridden along 8 lengths from the front. Followed by Ocelli, who's next. Incredible is still second to last at this point as they round the far turn. Into the turn they roll in less than 3/8 to run. And Taj Mahal's desperate to hang on the lead as Napoleon Solo cruises right on by. Napoleon Solo with a 1/4 mile to run, and they're homeward bound. And here comes Iron Honor on the outside. Chip Honcho right there. Taj Mahal continues to battle down to the inside. A gap of 5 lengths back. Ocelli is trying to pick up. Incredible. It's way out of the middle of the track with a lot to do. Napoleon Solo. Napoleon Solo is the leader from Iron Honor in Preakness 151. And Napoleon Solo bounding with Paco Lopez to the line. It's a 2.5 length lead. Napoleon Solo will win Preakness 151, a length and a half from Iron Honor second. Chip Honcho was third. Ocelli fourth. Incredible was fifth. And then Bull by the Horns.
What a magnificent performance by the Newman horse, the Classic Watch 26 horse, the only horse selected by my own website in the race, the Preakness. Napoleon Solo has taken the Preakness out and won for my own little website. How satisfying it is to be able to do this worldwide, ladies and gentlemen. That was a very satisfying one. It was a horse I've always liked, Napoleon Solo, ever since I saw him romp home in a 2-year-old race last season in the US. Let's take a look at the results of the Preakness Stakes at Laurel Park. The winner of the race, Napoleon Solo, trained by Chad Summers and ridden by Paco Lopez. Napoleon Solo, sired by Liam's Map, out of a dam called Atomic Blonde, who herself was sired by Scat Daddy. Napoleon Solo running to a racing post rating of 118 on the day, and the horse owned by Gold Square LLC. Second home on the day, he ran a good solid race. Iron Honor, it's fair to say, ran well, trained by Chad Brown and ridden by Flavian Pratt. Iron Honor sired by Nyquist, out of a dam called Orencia, who herself was sired by Blaine. Iron Honor 1 1/4 lengths behind the winner, Napoleon Solo, and ran to a racing post rating of 115. In third place was Chip Honcho. Chip Honcho, trained by Stephen Asmussen and ridden by Jose L. Ortiz. Chip Honcho, sired by Connect, out of a dam called Miss My Rose, who herself was sired by Magician. Chip Honcho beaten 4.5 lengths on the day, and the third home in the Classic was allocated a Racing Post rating of 108 on the day. Fourth home was Ocelli, the maiden, placed in the Kentucky Derby. Also, Ocelli can only finish fourth in the Preakness. The horse trained by D. Whitworth Beckman and ridden on the day by Tyler Gaffleone. The horse sired by Connect as well, out of a dam called Zalia, who herself was sired by Scat Daddy. Ocelli running to a Racing Post rating of 102. Very good race there. I do think Laurel Park is a better track than where they do hold the race. Pimlico, who for years I have thought has needed a bit of renovation, coat of paint, whatever. But yeah, the Classic Watch 26 starts the video with Classic Glory, courtesy of Napoleon Solo in the 2026 Preakness Stakes. The next race we're going to take a look at is the first Classic of the Classic Watch 26 cycle held in Ireland. We're going to go to the Curragh now, and we're going to take a look at the Irish 2,000 guineas, a race held for 3-year-old colts over 1 mile. Sadly, in this race, there was no Classic Watch 26 entries in this race. I was hoping that the UK Guineas winner, Bo Echo, would be able to complete the UK and Irish 2,000 guineas. It is a double that is done on fair occasions. But sadly, Bo Echo never turned up on the day, and having looked at the field approaching the race, there wasn't really anything in there that I thought was worthy of a place on my site this year. But so, without further ado, let's take a look at the Irish 2,000 guineas, shall we, at the Curragh, and then we will see what we think.
For the Coast Classic, they're lined up. Thereof, over a mile, the Tattles's Irish 2,000 guineas of 26, beginning well at Parslin, followed by Power Blue. Handy is Stad in the purple and white colours as they race the end of the first furlong. Out wide is the grey Pacific Avenue, followed towards the elbow by the Secret Adversary and Distant Storm and Go Just Do It. At the rear, Take Charge Star and Bamako Beach as they race the end of the opening quarter, and it's Al Parslin and Sam James leading the line from Power Blue and David Egan, followed by Stad. Ryan Moore on the outside of the Secret Adversary and Shamie Heffernan, then Go Just Do It and Distant Storm, followed by Pacific Avenue, and then Take Charge Star, and at the back is Bamako Beach as they head for the halfway stage, and they're tightly grouped with a narrow advantage. Al Parslin from Power Blue, tracked closely by Stad, and then the Secret Adversary, Go Just Do It, Distant Storm, 2 lengths to Pacific Avenue, Take Charge Star and Bamako Beach. Very few changes, less than 3 furlongs to go. The Tattles's Irish 2,000 guineas. Al Parslin still holding sway from Stad on the outside. In between them is Power Blue, right in behind them is the Secret Adversary, then Distant Storm, Go Just Do It. Stad strikes the front, racing to the final furlong, and it begins to open up from Al Parslin. Distant Storm runs on the outside of Power Blue, followed then by Pacific Avenue, but out clear is Stad, is gaining compensation in the Irish 2,000 guineas. Second is Distant Storm, Pacific Avenue, and third.
A fairly routine victory, I think it's fair to say there, for Coolmore and Aidan O'Brien in the Irish 2,000 guineas, with the UK Guineas the UK 2,000 guineas runner-up, Gustad, pays the ultimate compliment to the Classic Watch horse Bo Echo by, I thought, taking the Irish 2,000 guineas fairly comfortably in that race. It's fair to say. I thought the horse was well on top really there, and it was a good performance on the day. I thought a very good ride also by Ryan Moore. Take a look. My notes are going all over the place here. The weather is very windy. I've got the window open to get some heat in, and as a result, it's blowing bottles over. It's blowing notes over. I really am having to suffer for my art today. So let's take a look at the results of the Irish 2,000 guineas, really. Where, shall we? A winner, Gustard, trained by Aidan O'Brien and ridden by Ryan Moore. The horse sired by Star Spangled Banner, out of a dam called Mosameen, who herself was sired by Exceed and Acel. The horse owned by Coolmore. A 3-length victory on the day and a racing post rating of 122 secured. Good performance. But that racing really was based on his run behind Bo Echo in the UK Guineas, it's fair to say. Second home on the day, a comfortable 3 lengths behind, was Distant Storm, another horse that ran quite well in the UK 2,000 guineas. Distant Storm trained by Charlie Appleby and ridden by Billy Loughnan on the day. Distant Storm sired by Night of Thunder, out of a dam called Date with Destiny, who actually herself is the only living foal out of the stallion, a former Coolmore horse, George Washington. Distant Storm 3 lengths behind on the day and a racing post rating of 113 secured. Third home on the day was another Godolphin horse, Pacific Avenue, beaten 4 lengths on the day. Pacific Avenue trained by Charlie Appleby and ridden by Jamie Spencer. The horse sired by Dubawi, out of a dam called Lumiere, who herself was sired by Shamadal. Pacific Avenue 4 lengths behind on the day, running to a racing post rating of 111. Fourth home on the day was Group 1 winning 2-year-old Power Blue. Power Blue trained by Robson D'Aguiar and trained by Robson D'Aguiar, and ridden on the day by Ammo Racing's retained jockey David Egan. The horse sired by Space Blues, out of a dam called Visions, who herself was sired by Worthad. Power Blue beaten 4 1/4 lengths on the day and running to a racing post rating of 110. I thought that was a pretty good performance by Gustad there, but the 4-11 red hot favourite really did, though, pay, like I said, the ultimate compliment to the Classic Watch horse there, running out, I thought, a fairly convincing winner of the Irish 2,000 guineas. The next race we're going to take a look at actually took place on the same day, just after that race. We're going to take a look now at the Japanese Oaks, the first middle distance classic held in Japan. We took a look at the two guineas, in previous videos. They are available on a playlist that will be shared at the end of the video, all the previous classic reviews of Classic Watch 2026. So the next race, like I said, is we're going to take a look at the Japanese Oaks. I sent a few out in the Japanese 1,000 guineas, managed to win the race with a star anise for Classic Watch 26, but the rest of them, they didn't really run that well in the Japanese guineas. Star anise, the guineas winner, was back, and she went off the favourite for the Japanese Oaks. But I did have another 4 turn up. We had Dream Core and Sweet Happiness, who I think both ran in the guineas. And then I looked at another one ahead of the race, a horse called Laughter Lines, and decided to include her in my Japanese Oaks team as well. So we've got 4 trying to do, with Star Anise, obviously the most fancied one, having won the Japanese guineas recently. So without further ado, let's take a look at the Japanese Oaks, shall we? And then we will see what we think.
The Oaksfield are off and racing. Bit slow away on the inside. It's got a veteran. Ange de Joie didn't jump too well. Trinity commenced well in the middle of the pack as they go to the winning post the first time. Trinity will take them forward. Sweet Happiness comes over with Amethysta. Pulling away there is Star Anise, hasn't settled yet. Longing Celine in behind them with Long Tall Sally. Then Stunning Lady. Going forward is Dream Core with cover. In behind them comes Smart Priere, followed by Alan Carr, then Realize Luminous. Out wide is Laughter Lines with no cover at the moment. Back to the inside is Lay Classic. Then Juroku Piero. Well back in the ruck is Sor Passere with Ange de Joie. NA is second last. And Mitsukane Venera is at the tail of the field. Taking him into the back straight, and Trinity leads them up with Atsuya Nishimura. No real early speed on. They're getting relaxed and settled in the back straight. Amethysta runs second. In third is Sweet Happiness. The rail is Longing Celine. Then comes Dreamcore with Star Anise in the middle, and taking off is Realise Luminous. Doesn't like the pace and goes around the field. Back in behind on the rail midfield. Running on the outside there is Smart Priere, and Long Tall Sally is on the inside. Then comes Alan Carr. Laughter Lines about midfield. On its inside, Lay Classic, Giroco Piero. Well back in the run is Ange de Joie, followed by Saw Passeray. Second last is N.A., and at the tail of the field is Mitsukane Venera. No speed to speak of in this year's Oaks. They're going to really be a sprint home, and Trinity has led them up and goes down to the side of the 800-metre mark. Leads out now, and running second is Realise Luminous, has gone around the field. Getting a little closer on the inside is Amethysta. In the green cap moving forward is Dreamcore with Christophe Lemaire. Star Anise is in beside with Stunning Lady tracking them. And going back to the inside is Longing Celine, and the widest runner is Damien Lane on Laughter Lines, who's coming line with Ange de Joie and N.A. through the middle. They get down with 250 metres to run. Realise Luminous is in front. This is a shock. Realise Luminous is in front, has a margin, but they're coming hard. Dreamcore is rattling. Realise Luminous with Akihide Tsumura is in front at the moment, but not for long. They're coming far. Judo Cupiero. St. Imamura wins the Oaks. First Lady Jockey wins the Oaks. What a Cinderella story. Dreamcore second. Tight for third. Sweet Happiness. The crowd has gone berserk. Lay Classic the inside. Laughter Lines did not come on. Alan Carr behind them. Then N.A. followed by Realise Luminous, who knocked up in the last 150. Long Tall Sally. Trinity well back in the run was Saw Passeray. Star Anise disappointing. Mitsukane Venera also. Stunning Lady. Longing Celine and Amethysta along with Smart Priere. Seina Imamura, the lady jockey on Judo Cupiero.
What a race. An absolutely fantastic finish to the 2026 Japanese Oaks. How unlucky there was Classic Watch. A race, a fantastic finish. And it was a first win for a female jockey in a Japanese Classic. And what a beautifully timed ride it was as well by jockey Seina Imamura on the winner, Jukurio Piero, to take the race out by a neck, with the Classic Watch battalions in second and third, closing fast. An absolutely fantastic race. Let's wrap up the top four in the usual fashion. The winner, Jukurio Piero, trained by Ryo Terashima and ridden by Seina Imamura. The horse sired by Offevra out of a dam called Happy Value, a Japanese bred mare sired by Zeno Rob Roy. She managed to hang on by a neck to win the Japanese Classic. Racing Post, though, only allocated this race a Racing Post rating of 114. I do think that the site rates these Japanese races very low indeed, it's fair to say. Yeah, the ratings are what they are, but the winner, I think, Jurioku Pirio ran a very good winner. Second on the day, and the first Classic Watch 26 horse home in the Japanese Oaks, beaten a neck, was Dreamcore. Dreamcore, trained by Masahiro Otaki and ridden by C.P. Lemaire. The horse sired by Kizuna out of a dam called Normcore, who herself was sired by Harbinger. Dreamcore beaten a neck, a Racing Post rating of 113 allocated on the day. Third home, a further neck behind, was another Classic Watch 26 horse Laughter Lines. Ran a great race. Laughter Lines trained by Michihiro Ogasa and ridden by Damien Lane. Laughter Lines sired by Al Ain out of a dam called Banga, who herself was sired by King Kamehameha. And Laughter Lines was also given a Racing Post rating on the day of 113. Fourth home on the day, and the horse ran an absolutely incredible race. Nearly won the Oaks, it's fair to say, was Realise Luminous. The horse trained by Shinsuke Hasiguchi and ridden by Akihide Samura. The horse sired by Silver State out of a mare called Jerivien, who herself was sired by Rulership. Realise Luminous allocated a racing post rating of 112 on the day. Let's take a look at the other Classic Watch horses. Fifth home on the day was Sweet Happiness. It was nice to see her run a much better race than she did in the Guineas. I thought she was a nice horse when I looked at her. She was only beaten ahead. Sweet Happiness, trained by Yoshihito Kitadi and ridden by Riki Takasugi. The horse sired by Real Impact out of a dam called Jura, who herself was sired by Workforce. She was another one allocated a racing post rating of 112 on the day. And finally, the last horse home out of the Classic Watch horses, I think she was the last home. Yeah, she was the favourite on the day. And the Japanese 1,000 guineas winner, Star Anise. She could only finish 12th on the day, has to go down as a very disappointing run. Star Anise trained by Tomokazu Takano and ridden by Kohei Matsuyama. Star Anise sired by Dreyfong out of a mare called Epiche Aroma, who herself was sired by Daiwa Major. Star Anise finishing 12th and running to a racing post rating of 105 on the day. Disappointing not to take out the third classic in this video, the Japanese Oaks, considering we did have 4 horses turn up for it. But safe to say that the site had a fantastic go. It had 3 out of the first 5. But a close is only good enough in horseshoes and hand grenades, everybody. The site has failed to take out the Japanese Oaks. The next race we're going to take a look at is we're going to go to my mistake. Let's stop the video quick. Apologies for that, everybody. Yep, the next race we're going to take a look at in this video is the 4th classic in the video, and it's back to Ireland again. The Irish 1,000 guineas was held the day after the Irish 2,000 guineas, so we've got a double dose of Irish classic action in this video. The Irish, like I said, the Irish 1,000 guineas held the race after at the Curragh. Unlike the Irish 2,000 guineas, there was representation this year in this race from classicwatch26.great/site.net. 3 horses, actually. We had True Love, the horse sired by No Nay Never, the first ever classic winner sired by the horse, who won the UK Guineas at Newmarket as a non-Classic Watch horse. She is now a member of the Classic Watch team ahead of this race, the Irish 1,000 guineas. And we also had another horse that ran in the UK 1,000 guineas that turned up in the Irish guineas as well, Abashiri, the Godolphin horse. And we also had the winner of the Fred Darling Stakes running for us in this race, a Group 3 race held at Newbury, which is a Guineas trial. The Jack Shannon trained Sukanya managed to win that race, and she was also a member of the Classic Watch 2016 ahead of this race. An interesting race in prospect at the Curragh, it's fair to say. So without further ado, let's take a look at the Irish 1,000 guineas, shall we? And then we will be able to see what we think.
Loaded. And that off. In the Fillies Classic, the Tattersall's Irish 1,000 guineas. A mile in front of them, Kensington Lane in the fighting line with Hope Queen. With the rail position, Abashiri, followed by Beautify, as they settled down the end of almost a couple of furlongs. They raced towards the elbow, and wide apart, Abashiri and Kensington Lane, followed by Hope Queen. Right on the outside is Beautify. Tracking Abashiri is True Love, and then comes Pivotal Attack, followed with 5.5 furlongs to go by Black Caviar Gold, and then Senmara. Towards the back, Manicourt with Precise and Sukanya, but they're tightly grouped, a furlong outside the halfway stage, and they've split into two groups. Over on the far side, it's Abashiri leading Pivotal Attack, True Love, Black Caviar Gold, and St. Mara. In the centre, in front is Kensington Lane from Hope Queen, followed inside halfway by Beautify, and then Manicourt, Precise, and Sukanya. Racing towards the final 3 furlongs in the Tattles's Irish 1,000 guineas, and it's Abashiri and William Buick in front. Stoked by True Love and Ryan Moore. Pivotal Attack pushed along by Gary Callan, then Kensington Lane, St. Mara, followed then past the 2 by Black Caviar Gold, and then Beautify, Manicourt, Hope Queen, Precise, and Sukanya still in front is Abashiri, but about to challenge on the outside is True Love, and over the top of them is Precise on the outside. Things are changing quickly, and it's Precise who has got to the front from True Love and Abashiri. Precise is back in the Irish 1000. The double for Aidan O'Brien and Wade Lorden. True Love second, Abashiri in third.
A very good performance, I think, there by another horse beaten at Newmarket. In the UK, Precise has managed to reverse form there with the Classic Watch 26 horse True Love, it's fair to say, in good style. I thought that was a very good performance by Precise on the day. I don't think there was any excuse about it. She firmly put True Love in her place that day, and I thought that was a very good performance by the Aidan O'Brien trained winner. Guineas double out in Ireland for Aidan O'Brien. Let's take a look at the final analysis, shall we? In the usual fashion, the winner of the Tattersalls Irish 1,000 guineas on the day was Precise. A very good performance, trained by Aidan O'Brien and ridden on the day by Wayne Lorden. The horse sired by Star Spangled Banner, who has completed an Irish 1,000 and 2,000 guineas double. This year, the stallion, Star Spangled Banner, a fantastic effort by the Australian bred stallion for Coolmore. Precise, Star Spangled Banner sired the horse, and the dam was Way To My Heart, who was sired by Galileo. Precise running out a 2.5 length victory, and for that she was allocated a Racing Post rating of 117, which is 3 higher than the winner of the Japanese Oaks. Second home on the day was the Newmarket 1,000 guineas winner from the UK, True Love. True Love on the day, 2.5 lengths behind. The horse trained by Aidan O'Brien and ridden on the day by Ryan Moore. True Love sired by No Nay Never out of a dam called Alluringly, who herself was sired by Fastnet Rock. True Love allocated a mark of 110 at the Coa, not as good as the mark she was achieved when winning at Newmarket. Third home was another Classic Watch horse, so again, rather like the Japanese Oaks, Classic Watch finished filling the 2 placed efforts in the race. Abashiri, a filly trained by Charlie Appleby and ridden on the day by William Buick. The horse sired by Frankel out of a dam called Sabetsu, who herself is sired by Jubawi. Abashiri finishing 3 lengths behind on the day and allocated a Racing Post rating of 109 for doing so. Fourth home on the day was Black Caviar Gold, a horse beaten 5 3/4 lengths. Black Caviar Gold trained by Paddy Toomey and ridden by Billy Lee. The horse sired by Havana Grey out of a dam called Perfect Outing, who herself was sired by Outstrip. Black Caviar Gold allocated a Racing Post rating of 103 for finishing 4th in the Classic. Let's take a look at the other Classic Watch horse in the race. Sadly, finished last. Sukanya could only finish 11th on the day, beaten 16 lengths, the Fred Darling winner. Sukanya trained by Jack Shannon and ridden by Tom Marquand. The horse sired by Havana Grey out of a dam called Sheba, a French-bred mare who was sired by Rail Link. Sukanya beaten 16 lengths on the day, running to a Racing Post rating of only 79, which has to go down as a very poor run. There is no other excuse for a run like that. So, yeah, excuse me, a very interesting race. the Irish 1,000 guineas this year. Again, it was disappointing for my side. We managed to, again, horseshoes and hand grenades, second and third in the Classic for classicwatch26.great/site.net. But I don't make no bones out of this. We are trying to win these races. You know, place efforts are what they are. It shows that they are running quite well. But, yeah, we're not winning the race, sadly. So, again, very disappointing not to win the Irish 1,000 guineas this year. The next race we're going to take a look at in this video is we're going to head now for 2 races down in the Southern Hemisphere. We're heading towards the end of the Southern Hemisphere season, so we've still got a few loose ends to tie up. I think we've got another race from Queensland in the next Classic review as well. But with the race we're going to take a look at here is the Queensland Derby, a race held in Australia at Eagle Farm. Unfortunately, Classic Watch 26 had no horses turn up in the Queensland Derby this year. I tend to look a lot of my Australian horses in New South Wales and Victoria, unless I spot one that I do like in a trial, which was not the case this year for the Queensland Derby. So unfortunately, there was no Classic Watch interest in this race. I was hoping that one of my horses from Queensland, from New South Wales or Victoria would turn up in the race, but it wasn't the case. So let's take a look at the Queensland Derby. I think this is the penultimate Australian Classic of this Classic Watch cycle. Like I said, we've got the Queensland Oaks in the video, next video that I decide to do. But this is the last chance, I think, to take a look at the Colts down in Australia. So let's take a look at this race, shall we? And then we will see what we think.
All in. Light. Ready to break. Racing. They jumped at an even line. Kilman anticipated the start well, heading towards the front from Southern Prince. Going forward soon after the start, Inspired Legend. Providence is handy. Noticing also going forward Amazaki and Solid Gold. Berry riding forward on the favourite. O'Shamus going up wider. They're followed by One Step Closer, Accidental Bid. Monopolistic settling just a touch better than midfield. Beauty Swift wide with cover early, followed by Options. Let's go to the second half of the field. Southern Prince over on the inside of Different Gravy, followed by Michelangelo. Chili's drifting a long way back into that bottom bend with Defendant. Then Buddelazy and Falcon's Lair dropped out to be last of the 18. They travel up the side, short of 1,800 left to Rana, and Kilman is going to try and do it all of the way. Racing second, O'Shamus, trailing by a length and a half, and 3 wide, One Step Closer. Well, from that outside barrier, Solid Gold, Berry's got the favourite into a good spot as Beauty Swift strides up 3 wide outside of it. Over on the inside came Falcon's Lair, and then came Options. It's in the 3 wide line, but on the improve. Followed by Amazaki, then Accidental Bid. Providence about 8 to 9 off the lead at the 1,300 metres. Then came Michelangelo, followed by Monopolistic between runners. Southern Prince inside of that pair. A long way back along the back straight was Different Gravy, drifting back with Defendant. Then came Chili's, Inspired Legend, and Buddelazy is last. 18 lengths span the Derby field. They go towards the far bend with 1,000 left to Rana. And Maloney is going to try and pilot Kilman an all-the-way victory. One Step Closer went to second. Racing third, O'Shamus. Beauty Swift in fourth. The speed is genuine. 2 to Options who went to fifth. And then came Falcon's Lair. Solid Gold about seventh in the Rana. Amazaki making a move. Then Accidental Bid. Followed by Providence, who's following Solid Gold in the Rana. Then Michelangelo. Monopolistic between runners. Nearer the inside came Southern Prince. A long way back coming to the turn was Different Gravy. Then Buddelazy trying to make a wide run was Inspired Legend with Defendant. And Chili's will turn in last of the 18. They thunder for home in the Derby. 450 left to Rana. Kilman led. Beauty Swift the first challenger. Here's Solid Gold and Amazaki joining in. And Providence out wide. 300 left to run. Kilman led. Solid Gold went to whip, but Providence went to the pair and gave them a cold. Providence dashed away from Solid Gold. Running on as Inspired Legend at cricket score odds. They're monopolistic and Different Gravy. Providence has got 100 to go. He's got the margin. He's got the Derby. Providence too good. Dino monopolistic. Third Inspired Legend. Fourth Different Gravy. Then Gap. Solid Gold didn't stay. Followed by Beauty Swift. Michelangelo. Defendant. Falcon's Lair. Amazaki, Kilman, just ahead of them, Chili's. Then came Accidental Bid. Well back, One Step Closer. Options, Southern Prince, Buddelazy. And O'Shamus last in the Derby. Providence, the winner, number 4, James McDonald for Chris Waller. And a Waller Quinella, 7-second monopolistic, Ben Mellum. And Inspire.
I thought that was a pretty good performance there by the winner, Providence, to take out the Queensland Derby, a race held at Eagle Farm. Who also subsequently, I think I read somewhere, been sold to Hong Kong to continue his horse racing career just recently. But yeah, I don't think there was many excuses about that, was there? Providence came down the middle of the track, and I thought he took the race out quite well. Very nice to see a colt win the race as well. Let's run you through the first 4, as we normally do. Providence was the winner. Providence, trained by Chris Waller and ridden by James McDonald. The horse sired by Wootton Bassett out of a dam called Southbank, an Australian-bred mare who was sired by Fastnet Rock. Providence, a 1-length victory on the day, was allocated a racing post rating of 109 for that race, which is the lowest that we've seen in this video so far. Second home on the day was the first gelding home in the race, Monopolistic. Monopolistic, another one, trained by Chris Waller and this time ridden by Ben Mellum. Monopolistic sired by Savabeel out of a dam called Bayrock, again, who was sired by Fastnet Rock. Monopolistic, a length behind, and a racing post rating of 105 was secured on the day. Third home on the day was another colt, beaten 1 1/4 lengths, Inspired Legend. Inspired Legend, trained by Les Bridge and ridden by Jamie Mellon. Inspired Legend, sired by Dundeal out of a dam called Abbey Marie, who was sired by Redoubt's Choice. Inspired Legend allocated a mark of 105. And fourth home on the day was another gelding, Different Gravy, beaten by 2 lengths. Different Gravy, trained by Henry Dwyer and ridden by Mark Zara. Different Gravy, sired by Gayath out of a dam called Venerated, who herself was sired by Medaglia d'Oro. She was allocated a rating of 104 on the day. In fact, if I look at this race, there was only 4 horses in the race, the Queensland Derby, that were allocated a racing post rating of over 100 on the day. So yeah, by far and away, you'd have to say this race was the weakest that we've looked at in the video. No Classic Watch 26 horses in the race. So let's move on. The next race we're going to take a look at is another Southern Hemisphere race. This one will possibly be the last race we're going to take a look at out in South Africa in the Classic Watch 2026 cycle. A lot of the races I've found out in South Africa haven't quite been the grade they needed to be to get Classic Watch fully invested in these races. We obviously had a few Group 1 races earlier in the Classic Watch process. Don't forget those videos are available in the Classic Watch 26 playlist that will be shared after this video. But a lot of the races I was looking at ended up being Group 2 races, which were very disappointing. I did find this Group 1 race, though, that took place towards the end of May for 3-year-olds only, which does give us, I think, a final point in the South African 3-year-old season. We've got about another 3 weeks to go. I think there was a few Group 1 races held last week at Greyville as well, but there wasn't no 3-year-old only races. This was the last Group 1 race I saw for 3-year-olds only over a sort of classic trip. So in order to give the South African horses more Classic Watch exposure, I think we're going to start moving forward with this race permanently. If Classic Watch 27 returns this season, next season, I should imagine that people might see this South African race included again. I don't think it is officially a classic, but it's rather like an American turf race and an American 3-year-old fillies race. They don't necessarily have the classics. We need to look for alternative races to ensure that these horses are monitored throughout the season and given more opportunities. The race in question, I think, was called the Daily News 200 out at Greyville. The race was ran on the 30th of May. And Classic Watch 26, a horse actually did turn up. We had a Happy Verse, who had ran in I think ran in the Cape Guineas earlier in the season. He might have also ran in a Derby that we looked at as well. That might have been a Group 1 race. So it was good to see Happy Verse line up in this race and give Classic Watch 26 a runner in it. It was a race I never even knew existed at the start of the season. So yeah, we'll take Happy Verse turning up in this race. So let's take a look at this race, shall we, at Greyville, the Daily News 200, and see what happened, how they all got on.
For the Grade 1 Daily News 2000 of 2 million rand, they come to attention and they dispatched in the Daily News 2000 from the 2,000 metre marker. Diogenes is one of the first out of the gates. Hazy Daisy is right there shortly after the start. Viva's Liberté is just off the call. Chronicle King around them. Master Spy is on the inside. They're followed by Note to Self, Black Sleeves and the White Cap. Mulsbury Missiles about 6 or 7 lengths off the leader. Jan Verhooyen's about 8 lengths off the leader. Then Happy Verse behind that World of Royalty. And Star Majors, one of the trailers, giving them about 10 lengths start. Viva's Liberté is now making play out in front. Chronicle King is second. Diogenes out the rail third. Hazy Daisy, that's got the red sleeves and cap on the outside of Master Spy. Note to Self, mid-division, about 7 lengths off the leader. Happy Verses on the outside of Mulberry Missile. Jan van Gooyen's giving them about 10-11 lengths start. Then Star Major and World of Royalty. The Daily News 2000 now moves towards the 1,000 and Viva's Liberté by a length and a quarter. Chronicle King is second. In third, Diogenes. Behind that one, Master Spy. 2 lengths to Note to Self, who's found the rail. On the outside, Hazy Daisy with about 7 lengths to track down. Then comes Happy Verse. Star Major, 9 lengths off the leader. Mulsbury Missiles being asked to run. World of Royalties going around them with Jan van Gooyen about 10 lengths off the leader. Homeward bound in the Daily News 2000. Viva's Liberté the leader. Chronicle King the first to challenge. Note to Self goes in for a run. Mulsbury Missile. Happy Verse on the outside. Star Major starting to find a good finish on the outside. That's Viva's Liberté. Note to Self. Here's Star Major. Star Major with an electrifying run from Happy Verse. And it's Star Major to win it. Second will go to Happy Verse. Note to Self and Viva's Liberté. That's the running of the Grade 1 Daily News 2000 and Star Major. Once again, Michael Michelle, James Crawford, the Kirari, and this one bred by Main Chance Farms. Win number 4 from 11 for Star Major at 480. Another good ride from Michael Michelle and comes home to record its 4th win from 11 outings. Once again ridden from off the pace in the Daily News 2000 and really quickened up in the closing stages. Happy Verse number 9 runs second. Third, number 6.
What a performance there from Star Major. To deny my website again, Classic Watch 26 really has been quite unlucky, hasn't it? In this video, it again has to settle for second place. A fantastic effort. But take nothing away from the winner on the day. I thought it was a very good performance from Star Major to take out the Group 1 Daily News 2000. Like I said, a race we might include moving forward in our coverage of South Africa. Let's take a look at the ratings. A victory for Star Major on the day. Star Major, trained by James Crawford and ridden, I don't know the name of that first jockey, M. Michel, rode the horse. Star Major, sired by Karari, a German-bred stallion out of a dam called Star in the Sky, who herself was sired by Silvano. Star Major running out a good 1.5 length victory and gaining a racing post rating of 117 for doing so. You know, I say that with quite a high voice because I'm quite surprised that this race rated this highly. You know, very good performance on the day from Star Major, given the same rating as the Irish 1,000 guineas winner. Precise. Second home on the day, beaten a length and a quarter, was the Classic Watch horse, Happy Verse. Happy Verse, trained by Justin Snaith and ridden by Richard Furry, sired by Vercingetorix, out of a dam called Song of Happiness, who herself was sired by Giant's Causeway. Happy Verse allocated a racing post rating of 114 on the day. I think that has to go down as a very good effort from the Classic Watch horse. Third home on the day was the first. Happy Verse was subsequently gelded. Actually, that was his first run as a gelding. Sadly, he was gelded after his 2 classic efforts. I forgot to mention that, which is always disappointing. Third home was yet another gelding. In fact, 4 of the first 5 home were all geldings in the race. Note to Self was third. Another horse trained by Justin Snaith, ridden by A Fortune, again a jockey I'm unfamiliar with. Note to Self, sired by Fuchara, out of a dam called Guiding Light, who herself was sired by Judd Pot. Note to Self, finishing 3 lengths behind the winner, Star Major. Racing post rating of 111 on the day. Fourth home, another gelding, Viva's Liberté. Viva's Liberté, a horse trained by Candice Bass and ridden by Craig Zaki. Why can't they do that for all the jockeys? Viva's Liberté, sired by Vercingetorix, out of a dam called Viva Maria, who herself was sired by Jetmaster. Viva's Liberté, beaten 4 lengths on the day and allocated a racing post rating of 109 for finishing 4th in the Daily News 2000. Again, that was the only horse that Classic Watch had running for it on the day. So, yeah, a very interesting race, the Daily News 2000. An absolute pleasure to find that race in the end of May. I was wondering how I was going to wrap up the South African racing at the end of all these Group 2s. And, yeah, very interesting race, that. This might be the last time we see the South African horses in the Classic Watch 26 cycle. The New Zealand horses finished quite a while back. Like I said, we've got one more Australian race to look at, the Australian Oaks, in the next video. But yeah, it might be goodbye. It might be time to say goodbye to the South African horses after this race, sadly. But a good race, nonetheless, to finish on, I think. The next race we're going to take a look at, and the last race in this video that we're going to take a look at, is the Japanese Derby. One of the showcase races of this cycle. The Japanese Derby, always a magnificent spectacle. Hundreds of thousands turned up to watch it at Tokyo on the 31st of May. Rather like the Japanese Oaks, you know, the Japanese Guineas horses of Classic Watch, they didn't run as well as I would have liked. You know, never took the race out, and they were what they were. As a result of that, a few of them, well, obviously, I was hoping, would be Derby horses more than Guineas horses. Because a lot of the horses turned up, again, from the Guineas. We had Pentra Naif turn up again. Base Tear was another one that we tried at the Guineas that was back for the Derby. And also Realised Sirius, the Poetic Flair colt that we had as well. All turned up from the Japanese Guineas. And I also took a look at a couple of horses sired by a stallion I like out in Japan, Contrail, that had won a couple of trials. And I decided to add Going to Sky to the Japanese Derby team, a horse that never turned up in the Japanese Oaks. So we had 4 horses running for us in the Japanese Oaks, as opposed to the 5 that we had in the Oaks earlier. In the Derby, we had 4. Let's take a look at the final race on this video, shall we? The Tokyo Yushin, the Japanese Derby. And without further ado, let's take a look at the race, shall we? And see what we think.
They're ready. They're off and racing to the roar of the crowd. Fairly even dispatch. Early speed from Ask Edinburgh going forward. Piercing through is Realised Sirius and Meisho Hachiko. Along the rail, Maten Road Gale with Reich Sadler. Going forward also is a little wider out Punter Naif. Back to the inside, picking them off there is Congestus. Alongside Congestus, Punter Naif, back to the fence, Kenton. Then in behind them on the rail is Ultra Moose. Wider out, M's Begin is 5 wide and no cover, but is in behind it Love Chen, who does have cover. Back on its inside, slowly picking up, there is Forte Angelo. It is kind of relaxed in the back straight. Then Justin Vista, Shonan Gulf, well back going to Sky. Second last Audacia, and at the tail of the field is Bastere. A fairly compact field. There are a few trapped out on a limb, but they're all finding their feet in the back straight. Meisho Hachiko leads out from now. Realize Sirius puts its head in front. Along the inside is Reich Sadler, then Ask Enbra. Matenro Gale's in a good spot. Going on, Ems Begin, and taking off wide there is Bastere around the field. Then comes in behind them Forte Angelo. Followed along the rail, picking up is Kenton. Wider out is Love Chen, but does have cover in between runners. Is trying to pick up speed there in Congestus with a little bit of movement room from the outside of it. Back on the inside now is losing some ground is Forte Angelo. On its outside is Green Energy. Justin Vista out wide, going to Sky with work to do. Ultramuse, Audacia, and Shonan Guff at the tail of the field. So Realize Sirius did it last week in the Oaks. A Realize horse tried to pinch it on the home corner, and Realize Sirius is in front at the 450 metre mark. And is in front, but will have company in a moment. Joining is Bastere, running on is Love Chen. Also there is running on is Forte Angelo. Gobbled up is Realize Sirius. Bastere whacking away. Here comes in the middle Forte Angelo, going Sky out wide, and Love Chen might beat them all. Love Chen going up to Forte Angelo. Forte Angelo has a kick. Love Chen, they hit the wire for Love Chen. Love Chen, Forte Angelo, tight for third. Back to the inside was Bastere. Wider out finishing off was going to Sky. Ultramuse was there, knocking up quickly. In the home straight was Congestus. Reich Sadler was along the rail as well. Then Matenro Gale. Then Shonan Gulf, followed by Kenton. Ems Begin, Ask Edinburgh. Well back was Justin Vista. Audacia well back with...
Very good race there, and it was won by the horse that won the Japanese 2,000 guineas. A Japanese 2,000 guineas and Derby double, and a possible tilt at the Japanese Triple Crown in the Japanese St. Leger later on in the season. A fantastic performance there from Love Chen to take out his second classic of the season. I thought he finished there with a determined run, didn't he? I don't think there was many metres in that race where that horse Love Chen could have been called the winner. But he managed to get up where it mattered in the shadows of the post to take out his second classic victory in the 2026 Japanese Derby. He's taken some beating, it's fair to say, for my sight. Again, very unlucky, finishing second, third and fourth. Classic Watch 26 really has been a solid performance in this video, hasn't it? There hasn't been many that have many races where the site has had horses in that where they haven't had a run. Yeah, very interesting season this season is proving to be. And the winner of the Japanese Derby, the Tokyo Yushin, was Love Chen. Love Chen, trained by Haruki Sugiyama and ridden by Kohei Matsuyama. The horse sired by World Premiere out of a dam called Songwriting, an American-bred mare who is sired by Giant's Causeway. Love Chen, for his head victory in the Japanese Derby, was only allocated a racing post rating of 112 by the UK's leading racing publication, even lower than the 114 it gave the Oaks winner. I think they're at least 8 or 9 under what they need to be. There is no way that the Japanese Derby winner is that inferior to a UK classic horse. I'm not having it. But they rate the horses. Love Chen was the favourite on the day, the 17-10 favourite, and the horse obliged. Second home on the day was the first Classic Watch 26 horse, Pentra Knave, putting its bad run in the Guineas behind it to finish second, only beaten ahead, and the horse nearly took the race out. Pentra Knave, trained by Tetsuya Kimura and ridden by Christophe Patrice Lemaire. The horse sired by Kizuna out of a dam called Art Brute, who herself was sired by Macfie. Pentra Knave running to a racing post rating of 110 on the day for finishing second. The third horse home was another Classic Watch horse, the 33 to 1 shot, Base Tear. Base Tear ridden by trained by Takashi Saito and ridden by Yuga Kawada. Base Tear sired by Kitasan Black out of a dam called Mambia, who herself was sired by Aldebaran. Base Tear was beaten a length on the day and was allocated a racing post rating of 109, which was of course the same figure allocated to the Queensland Derby winner. Fourth home on the day was another Classic Watch 26 horse, Going to Sky. Going to Sky also beaten a nose for third, beaten a length in total. Going to Sky trained by Yuki Uehara and ridden by Yutaka Take. Going to Sky sired by Contrail out of a dam called Going to the Window, an American bred mare who was sired, by Tappet. Going to Sky allocated a racing post rating of 109 for finishing fourth. We can wrap up the other Classic Watch horse, Realise Sirius. So every single Classic Watch horse in this race was in the first 10. As Realise Sirius managed to finish 7th in the Japanese Derby, beaten a total of 2.5 lengths. Realise Sirius trained by Takahisa Tezuka and ridden by Akihide Sumura. Realise Sirius sired by Poetic Flair, of course, was the UK 2,000 guineas winner of his year, and the horse out of a dam called Red Mirabelle, who herself was sired by Stay Gold. Realise Sirius allocated a racing post rating of 107 for his 2.5 length victory. So yeah, we had all 4 Classic Watch horses within 2.5 lengths of the front of the race. Sadly though, they can only finish 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 7th. So again, throwing 4 horses at the race. Love Sen has done us. Love Chen did us in the Guineas. Impossible to pick every horse. What's the fun in that? Love Chen was a nice horse. He's a dual classic winner, but he's not a Classic Watch horse, and hopefully we can get the horse sank in the final classic of the season, which is running in a few months' time, as we say here. I think the race is in August or September, the Japanese St. Leger. So we will be picking the Japanese horses up later on at some point. But yeah, it's now time to end the video, I think. On the back of that, Love Chen, a dual classic winner out in Japan, winner of the Japanese 2,000 guineas and winner of the Japanese Derby. Don't forget, throughout the season, the Classic Watch horses can be found on classicwatch26.great/site.net moving forward towards the end of the season. I will also, at the end of this video, I will mention quickly my own personal Patreon channel, Newman Racing, over on Patreon. I do think it might be worth you checking that out as well, especially if you like National Hunt Racing and me looking at horses like end-of-year reviews, that sort of thing. You don't want to be following a horse of mine that I've let go. So those videos are also on the Patreon channel as well. So yeah, head over to Patreon, Newman Racing. You never know, it might just be for you. Excuse me, but I can think of ending this video here now. What can I offer you at the end of the video? Well, I can offer you an opportunity to subscribe to my YouTube channel at the end of this video. That way you will not miss any more of my content moving forward on YouTube. If you enable your notifications either on the desktop or in the in-app options, you can enable YouTube to give you a notification every time I upload a video. And that way you will not miss any more of my videos moving forward. A couple of people have asked me how to do it, and I've told them how to do it. And I can report that, yes, they are happy with the quality of the videos. But more importantly, the process worked. Every time they log into YouTube, YouTube sends them a notification if I have uploaded a video. And they can just watch it if they choose to. So that is something I can offer you at the end of the video. And I can also offer you at the end of the video an option to look at the Classic Watch 26 look at the Classic Watch 26 playlist. No possibles, no horses in this playlist. Basically, this is the playlist that I've alluded to a couple of times in this video that I said I would leave at the end of this video. It's basically a list of all the classic review videos that have formed part of the Classic Watch 26 process. That way, if you choose to, you can sit and watch every single classic of 2026 in this video, all starting with the Southern Hemisphere horses back in October, I think the first one was, 2025. So there is a playlist with all the classic review videos in, and I will include a video, a link to that playlist at the end of this video. But I am going to think about leaving this video here now. It's over an hour long. I've enjoyed reviewing these 7 classics. We're pretty much done now for May 2025. I think there's another one that we have to look at in May before we move on to June in the next video. So make sure you join me for that when the video is made. But for now, I will leave this video here. I hope you all enjoyed watching it as much as I've enjoyed making it. Enjoy the rest of your week, everybody. Take care of yourselves. Look after yourselves and each other. Try and stay rehydrated. If you're in a hot area, it's quite hot here in the UK at the moment, and in other places of Europe and around the world as well. So make sure you stay rehydrated. Wear a hat. Protect yourself from the sun when possible, and look after yourselves and your loved ones. But I am going to end this video here now. Thank you very much for watching it, everybody. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I hope to be back at some point with some content either on here, YouTube, or on Patreon. My advice would be to stay abreast of both channels. But for now, I will bid you a fond farewell. Take care, everybody, and goodbye.